Okay, welcome everyone. This is the Republican Party Network. And we have a special session this evening, a really great opportunity for all of you to find out about how Republican clubs are actually doing some things. Organize, what I mean by that is organizing and working out in the community. And as we know, Republican clubs basically have speakers and have presenters, but we really don't follow up too much on it. And um, we're fortunate tonight to have one group with us called the Defenders from the from the United Republicans Green Valley Sarita. And they're going to be talking to us a bit about what they're doing in the Defenders. And then at the end of it, like we have a call to action. So stay with us. And I should also let you know that the Defenders group has also decided that they're willing to have a feature each month. So we'll have a session with them starting in June. So with that said, I'm going to introduce Eileen Wilson, who is the organizer for the Defenders from United Republicans Green Valley Sarita. Eileen, you're on.
Hi, I am the original organizer, but I also have a co-organizer with me, and that's Iris. And you'll be speaking with her in a little bit. And so to bring us all the way back from when the Defenders really started, Yale would have these weekly meetings. And within those weekly meetings, he would ask us all to write down things that were important to us. There were a lot going on in our country. The police were being attacked. The Chinese virus was hitting us and everything else. And so we were sitting in a group and Yale said, pick a subject that, interests you, and that will be your group name, and then people can join your group. And so the topic originally that we picked was Thank a Cop. And so everybody that wanted to be in a group that said Thank a Cop went to one side. But as we sat together as a group, we figured we wanted to do more than just Thank a Cop, which is very important, but we decided to call ourselves the Defenders because we support all first responders. The police, the military, the border patrol, the firefighters, and our healthcare workers.
Okay.
And so after that, we took on a large amount of events. I think through the United Republics of Green Valley Sarita, I think that the Defenders have probably taken on the most of all of the other groups. We're really proud of what we do. We're highly energetic, and we support the Defenders support these groups because we need to support people that keep our country free and safe. And I think Iris and Sarah can talk a little bit more about some of the goals and some of the things that we've accomplished as Defenders.
Great. Okay, Iris, Sarah.
I think, is that my part? Yes. Okay. Am I coming up clear here, I hope?
Yeah, you're just fine.
Okay, so here are the things that we've done since I've been involved. The first thing we did is we had the police officers and sheriffs and all the law enforcement of our community come in and talk to us and tell us what their concerns were and how they work and what was going on in their departments. And that was our first event that I participated in. Then my first event was really amazing because we put together a large caravan because we live right by the border here in southern Arizona. And we went to the checkpoints, and I don't know what it's called, the Arivaca checkpoint, or it has another name other than Arivaca, but we went down there and we gave them, we had carloads of treats and food and drinks and treats for the border dogs that sniff out the drugs and bad people. And then from there, we kept going on in this caravan. We had flags flying and we went from there. Then we went over to Tubac, which is a little bit closer on one of the major highways here in southern Arizona. And we went through there. We had to go there pretty fast because they wouldn't let us stop. We had to dump the stuff and run because it's very serious, the Border Patrol and what they're doing. So that was our event. And then we had one honoring all the fire departments in Green Valley, Arizona. And we picked out all the fire stations. I'm not sure the amount, I think 4 or 5. I had one that was close to where I live, and we took baskets, all decorated. There was really fun. And the people, the fire department, they were so surprised to see us, and we had large baskets, and we personally thanked them for being of service to our community. We had a military flag wave. If someone else can speak to that, I did not participate in that, so I will continue, and if anybody wants to afterward, they can talk about that one. Then we had a huge rally. It was connected with other Republican clubs and other groups, but it was here to honor our police in Sahuarita, Arizona. And that was very successful, very, very successful. There was music, there were motorcycles and cars going around honking, and it was very, very successful. Then we took another excursion out to Border Patrol checkpoint way out in the desert, basically. And I not quite sure where it was, but we got lost sort of on the way out. We took a
And
round.
we wound up in Sassabee.
Yeah, so we wound up going back to Arivaca because it was way out of our way in time constraints. We wound up going back to Arivaca and at least honoring, them and, thanking them once again. At Christmas time, we went to, how many police stations? I think there were 5 police stations that we went to, and we took huge boxes of candy. When we went to the Sahuarita police department, there were 5, there was a lieutenant and 5 young officers that were out there to greet us. So the gals that went with me it was really nice. They showed out their support for us. We had a large event, a very large event, honoring our veterans, our veterans and active military. We had it in our headquarters. We had videos playing. We had lots and lots of food. We had speakers. We had them, stand up and which branch they were in. And that was a really exciting event. Now, if I missed something, that's what I picked out today. If I've missed something, Iris or Arlene or Gail, speak up here. So that's what we've done in less than a year. We started in probably August.
Right.
So it's been less than a year since I've been involved, and it's been exciting.
The other things that we did do also, we had Susan Anderson from Baja Guns come, and we did a class on gun safety. And then people wanted to know a little bit about like stand your ground and everything else. And we had Bobby speak on the Arizona state statutes. So like I said earlier, the Defenders is a very proactive group.
Right. Okay. Iris, did you want to add to that, or?
Well, I will add that we wrote thank you cards. I think we did almost 1,000. The employees at the VA hospital, unfortunately, and we also gave them candy. Unfortunately, none of the other hospitals were permitted because we're a political organization, even though we wrote nothing political on our cards, just thanking them for what they've done during COVID. One of the reasons I am in the Defenders is to draw attention to the fact that Republicans support law enforcement and first responders. We don't want to crucify them as the Democrats do. We don't want to defund them. We want them to be recognized for what they do for us on a daily basis. As far as the caravans, we went to 7 firehouses, including Arivaca, and that was they really appreciated. Current plans for the Defenders right now, we're planning a Back the Blue rally. Everybody might stand out there and wave a flag. We want to draw more attention to this cause. So we're planning a rally for the 16th of May, Sunday, beginning at noon. We're going to be organizing at a local supermarket parking lot, decorating our vehicles with Back the Blue signs, which thank goodness Eileen has secured enough of them. Hopefully they get here. I just ordered my Back the Blue hats today. We're going to hold a short rally, distribute other signs. From there, we're going to be proceeding out to Sarita. They have a beautiful lake. I'm going to be setting up a voter registration table, another call to action to register or re-register or change registrations. Everybody else will be walking around the lake. We will have a flyer telling everybody about the number of police deaths 2019 to 2020 and where we're at so far in 2021 as of March. They'll be handing these out to anyone that's willing to take one. I mean, everybody knows about how many Black people were killed by the police, but nobody knows how many police died in the line of duty. And I think it's important that we know that. From there, we're going to be proceeding after about 45 minutes total to another location where we'll park in the parking lot, walk around with our signs. And these are not Back the Blue signs. These are other signs saying how much we support the police, where the Democrats do not support the police. We're going to stay there approximately 30 minutes, hand out flyers to any walkers we see. From there, we're going to head back to headquarters, where Eileen, Sarah, and I will say a few words each. We will be inviting police officers from Sarita Police Department, South Tucson Police Department, and from Tohono O'odham Reservation Police Department. And if they wish to speak, they're more than welcome to. After that, we turn it over to Bobby, who's going to tell us all about the Florida legislation, protect law enforcement, and how we want to get this on the agenda for the 2022 legislative session in Arizona. So they're just about ready to adjourn for 2021.
Right. I think it's important before we get to continue, the folks listening to this, how smart the defenders leaders have been, the people you're looking at. There's a real temptation that we go from A to Z. In other words, we're very passive, do nothing, and then all of a sudden we get folks to somehow get out there and just do everything under the sun. It doesn't work that way. You have to gradually take folks where they are, get them to do things that they're comfortable with, and then let people build. It builds that way. And what I'm so impressed with is the kind of the instincts that you're looking at the people on this video, on how smart they were. And not only did they do great things, and they are doing great things, as you've heard, but they also had the common sense to realize that this is Republicans, it's hard for Republicans. This is not what we do. And yet at the same time, as you can hear, there's a lot of activity going on and a lot more. So for those that are listening to this and learning or trying to understand, well, what do we do? You can get some really good lessons. And in the months ahead, I think you're going to hear a lot of this common sense organizing and wisdom that you can build your own clubs from. So I'm certainly appreciative of the good sense that these folks have had. Okay, so I don't know who picks it up now, Eileen, Bobby, I interrupted.
Bobby's going to talk a little bit about our call to action plan after we're outside doing the flyers and the caravans and the voter registration. When we get back to headquarters, the defenders have always believed in treating people to food and drinks and everything else. And so headquarters will be set up with hard beverages and soft beverages and great foods and everything else. But most important, to open it up for discussion, and Bobby will talk about that.
Great.
Well, one of the defenders' calls to action is to come up with some legislation that we can get through the Arizona legislature, hopefully. Of course, they're going out of session in May, but maybe we can get on their agenda for next January. But what we need to do is what Florida has already done. It seems like Florida is leading the whole nation in innovative and progressive legislation. And one of the things they've done after they saw what went on in Portland, Oregon, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, with the riots in the street and people blocking traffic and highways and just basically turning the cities into complete disobedience and disruption. The Florida legislature has passed legislation where they've tightened up the laws. It's always been against the law to disturb the peace. But the way these rioters have been operating, it's been very difficult for the police or authorities to police or to control these groups, especially when they get out in the highways and the streets and they block traffic and so forth and so on. So Florida has already enacted legislation that took effect on April the 19th of this year, in which they have zeroed in on groups of 2 or 3 people that attack other people maliciously, and groups of 25 or more people who gather in public areas for the very purpose of destroying property, causing mayhem, and basically destructing and obstructing the everyday movement of people going about their business, and especially the blocking of public transportation and highways and roads. And they have focused in on this problem and passed legislation which addresses it and makes it either a misdemeanor if it's done on a small scale, or if it's a larger scale operation, it becomes a felony offense. And they have really dealt with a problem that's been developing all across the United States. And as part of the Defenders' call to action, we want to follow their lead in Arizona and come up with legislation and hopefully draft a piece of legislation that will go through the Arizona legislature, which will address this. Now, we've had problems in Tucson. They had riots in the street. They had property damage. A lot of the businesses in downtown Tucson had their windows broken out maliciously. The Republican office in Maricopa, in Pima County, was attacked and vandalized. Even our office here in Green Valley was vandalized. And so the public needs to know that our legislature is going to do something about this. And this is why we've called a call to action by the Defenders in our organization to actually draft this legislation and get it to the Arizona legislature and see if we can't push it through and bring some political pressure to bear on the state to join with states like Florida who have addressed this problem and before it starts down here. And so the Defenders are calling it to action and we're going to get something done.
That's great. That's great. Any final thoughts, Eileen, or from anyone else at this point?
One of the goals that I feel that myself, Bobby, Iris, Sarah, and the other Defenders that are within our group is, I think that we would like to teach other states, other communities what we're doing, because we live in our country. We want to stay free. We want to feel safe. And in order to do that, we need to support every one of the first responders. And I think how you spoke about us getting on the monthly type of Zoom so we can maybe help educate other groups how to form the Defenders and how to move from one to another, whatever. I mean, we would love, I know I can speak for Iris and Bobby and Sarah, we would love there to be a Defenders in every city and state throughout the United States.
Yeah.
That would, I think, be our goal.
I just want to add that anybody is interested in starting this sooner than later, contact either Eileen or myself on RPN Network, Instant Messages, or whatever it's called, and we'll be more than happy to help you set it up and guide you as we've learned from experience.
Yes. Sarah, any final words?
Not really. I think just the passion I feel for actually even protecting our police because they are being attacked on the streets. They are almost being targets. So anyway, that's my,
Yeah. Well, first of all, as we conclude here, this is exactly why the Republican Party network was set up. I mean, this is the reason, to take some great work that's going on and spreading it out and learning from each other. And I agree with you, Eileen. I mean, wouldn't it be something if in every single community we had a defenders group from the Republican Party? I mean, that we talk about getting folks to become Republican. What better way? What better way? And that's the selling point, you know, that we really care about the police and civility and law and order and just common sense. And with regard to people getting a hold of you, the easiest way will be is when this video goes up, which it will very soon, folks can then write a comment underneath. And they can communicate with you directly as members of, that's the other part that's such an advantage to the network, is they can communicate with you instantly. They can just find you on the network, send a note, but they can also comment, which you'll then see. So we're going to be able to do that. And people learning from each other, that's the real key. And Bobby, the idea of you know, I have to commend you for this because this is so much what we need. And it can't, for whatever reason, the structure, the regulations that the Republican Party is bound with limits this kind of creativity. Maybe that'll change, but right now the clubs are a much more fertile ground for doing these sorts of things. And through the network, we can now start expanding it, get more ideas out there, and really, really begin to make change. So we're going to set this up. It'll be a monthly event. And when we have the video go up this week and everyone will be notified on the network that it's up, be expecting lots of communication. I am certain people will be very interested in this. So I want to thank all of you this evening for taking a little time and really, really commend you for the great work that you're doing for our country. So thank you and have a good evening.
The same to you all.
thank you, yeah.
Thank you. It's always our
Thank you.
pleasure.
The